same lap. All 12 are on the same lap now. The retirements, in order of retirement, are Johnny Herbert out on the 3rd lap, then Deniz, Coulthard went out when he was in the lead, Alesi went out when he was 2nd, spun out in the wet, Genet and Wurtz went out because they had problems in the wet. Jacques Villeneuve has retired, so has Zanardi. Another bad race for the Italian. Damon Hill into the garage and out of the race. Is he out of Formula 1? Giancarlo Fisichella has retired the Benetton, so neither of the Benettons are going to finish this race after they'd shown signs of a renaissance when Fisichella finished 2nd in Canada at Montreal 2 weeks ago. This is lap 50 and the Ferrari mechanics are coming out. Now, I presume it's for Michael Schumacher because Eddie Irvine wouldn't bet. James, what's the news? James?
The Ferrari, yeah, a lot of activity down here in the Ferrari garage. Irvine's going to come in first. I told you before that the changeover was around the 1:28 mark. We're still around the 1:30 mark in terms of lap times. 1:30, that is. So it's difficult to say what's going to happen here, but Irvine seems to have a set of rain tyres ready for him. But Michael Schumacher's mechanics are getting a set of dry tyres ready for him. There's an awful lot more racing to come here, guys.
Wow, dry tyres, Martin?
Well, look, I mean, he's all over the place on the wets. They're clearly overheating now. They operate, the rubber of the wet tyre is designed to operate in much cooler temperatures. And in fact, you often get more grip with a wetter track than this, than in these kind of sort of half wet, dry conditions. You'll see the back end of the car sliding as Michael tries to get some traction. But I wouldn't want to go on slicks. Yeah, these new groove slicks are much harder than they used to be. You always have to wait that little bit longer. I'd have said there's way too much water on the road at the moment for slicks.
I know when you took the King of Spain out in the McLaren two-seater, you said to the Bridgestone technicians you'd like some softer tyres, and they said you've got the softest one there are already.
No, they said you've got the softest ones we're going to give you, buddy. But that's
in comes the Ferrari.
Yes, that's Irvine in the pits, and as James has already pointed out, he will go on to wets. Barrichello there flashing through your picture in 2nd. Frentzen, Ralf Schumacher, Olivier Panis, and now Hakkinen takes over 6th place because of Irvine's pit stop. Hakkinen up there in the final points position at the moment. Decent pit stop there for Irvine. Another set of wets. Off he goes. They heat them to about 50 degrees centigrade as opposed to 80 or 90 for the... That's bad news for Irvine. He's going to go straight out into some traffic, but or behind a BAR, but they heat them to 50 rather than 80, and that's Hakkinen having a go down the outside of, must be Panis, yes?
Yeah.
So Hakkinen trying, and obviously now finding a bit more confidence and grip and starting to come back again.
Yeah, and Ralf Schumacher is still in 4th position as Hakkinen goes through on the inside. Panis has to yield when he's got a whole of a McLaren alongside him. So Mika Hakkinen is now up into 5th position. He was 7th, and then there's a replay. He was 7th, but then into the pits came 6th position Eddie Irvine. Upper place goes Mika Hakkinen. But, as I've said before, it's a bit of a false dawn because Hakkinen has still got to come in for his 2nd stop.
Yes, I think most of them have that he's racing against, but it's quite clear, isn't it? Either Hakkinen or the McLaren is more at home, or indeed both, as the track dries out again.
Absolutely. And it could be the McLaren, because we know from James that Michael Schumacher is on a wet setup.
And what's happened to Michael Schumacher? Look, he's suddenly got Barrichello right behind him.
Yeah.
So has something happened to Schumacher we haven't seen yet, or has he got some kind of problem? I suspect he's locked a brake somewhere or whatever. Has he done a slow? Yes, he's done a very slow midsection. I think you'll find Schumacher's been off the road somewhere, so hopefully we'll get a replay of that. Now he's got to rebuild that lead.
Yeah, we've seen him go off the road and recover before, and
he lost 8 seconds though. He lost 8 seconds. So he must have had a reasonable trip across the scenery.
It's a heck of a lot. But meantime, you can see the gap visually between himself and Rubens Barrichello, with Frentzen now ever closer to the steward. In 3rd position, Heinz Harald Frentzen. Ralf Schumacher just a 2nd or so behind. And Mika Hakkinen can see an opportunity now to gain places. But very soon the rest of the leaders will be coming in. We're on lap 52 now. And this is a 72-lap race. Remember the long haul that we have had behind the safety car. I don't think the race is going to anything like 2 hours as a result of the safety car being out. In the 2 hours is the maximum that they will be allowed out on the track. and if the race looks like going longer than 2 hours in order to do the full planned race distance of 72 laps, it would be stopped at the 2-hour mark. So Michael Schumacher leads on lap 52 with 20 laps to go and another pit stop to go. And whatever he did, he seems to be recovering from, because the gap was 0.8 of a second. He's now into his 53rd lap, and the gap is 2.3 seconds. As in comes Ralf Schumacher from 6th position in the Williams. He lost a place, you will recall, to Mika Häkkinen. And now on go another sets of wets, of Bridgestone wet weather tyres.
The first little turn of the wheel you saw before Ralf got away properly is as he selects first gear, and it all clunks in and gives the wheel a quick spin, despite him having his left foot on the brakes. And that's Ralf making a decent pit stop.
Well, if the Ferrari team get the pit stop wrong, and I don't for one moment expect they will, they are very, very good indeed. It's going to be nip and tuck between Schumacher and Barrichello, assuming that Barrichello's pit stop is a good one, because there's still just about 2 seconds between them. Michael Schumacher leading in the Ferrari on lap 53, and you can see the gap is actually increasing. Here he is.
Yeah, Michael clearly has got a faster car, but he must have made a mistake. Judging by how tentative he was into Adelaide next time around, I suspect he went skating past that to lose his 8 seconds in the middle of that lap. But now he seems struggling for grip as the rear tyres beginning to overheat, and Häkkinen looking menacing again.
Odd in this age that we haven't had a replay if they caught it, because it would have been something quite dramatic. Anyway, he's now into his 54th lap, he being Schumacher. Look at the battle for second behind him. Barrichello has got Frentzen right up behind him. Frentzen has got the Prost right behind.
You can see in the pit lane they're getting another steering wheel ready for what must be Michael Schumacher's pit stop. So maybe he didn't go off the road. Maybe he just had some kind of gear selection problem. Remember when he first passed? James, what can you tell us?
Well, it's absolutely right, Martin. I don't know what sort of crystal ball you've got up there, but it's obviously a very expensive one. They've got Ignazio Lunetta, his race engineer, has got a spare steering wheel ready. Now, we've seen this a number of times with Ferrari where Schumacher's had gear selection difficulties. I was listening to him as he accelerated out of the final corner past me in the pits, and he was short shifting on the lap where he lost all that time. I think it's possibly the problem he had in that hairpin as well. He was looking for a gear, it wasn't there for him. I can tell you one other thing is that when he stops, he's putting wets on.
Thank you, James. You may be wondering why on earth he's going to change a steering wheel if he's got an engine problem. The answer is that so many of the functions on the car these days are controlled from the steering wheel that if you change it, you get better connections. And there's the confirmation. The new wheel, it'll only take a second or so to slot into position. He won't lose any time on top of the fuel stop and the tyres. And now look at Frentzen with Mika Häkkinen right up behind him. They've just scrambled past Tora Takagi. Rubens Barrichello did so better, as a result of which there's a gap, and that's Irvine off the course. He was in 8th position, and into the pits comes Michael Schumacher. Now
let's watch him
Eddie
stop.
Irvine took 7 seconds.
He's got, I wonder if the engine stops if they change the wheel. No, it doesn't. They've got that one off to a fine art, haven't they? Does he? I don't think they have to restart the engine. Michael's got it on. He says, yeah, it's fine, let's go.
Oh,
no, the engine's not running.
Not go.
Oh, no,
yes.
It took a while to get some kind of gear. So Michael were 13 seconds.
He's lost 6 seconds, Martin, on that stop compared with Eddie Irvine. So now the race leader is Rubens Barrichello.
And this is for second. This is for second, Murray. Look, Häkkinen with a chance up the inside of Frentzen. He's getting a bit wiser now as the race goes on. To middle line and very much keeps that second place.
And Olivier Panis darting about all over the circuit trying to find some wet tarmac, because he's only made one stop. His tyres are overheating. He's looking paradoxically for some water to drive through to cool them down.
Yes, and well, we saw Schumacher definitely put wets on again, and that's got to have been the right decision. And here's a replay of Irvine about to take a trip across the grass. I suspect he locks his front left going into 180 and just just drifts wider and wider and wider. I've been across that bit more than a few times, and it just sucks you in. You just cannot get away from it. And you go around the outside, it fills all the radiator ducts up with stones, but it's not too much of a problem. They come out in the next 2 or 3 braking zones.
Race leader Rubens Barrichello, second Frentzen, third Häkkinen, fourth, Olivier Panis, and Michael Schumacher back in the race. Look for the Ferrari in the background. There is the Prost. Remember that Michael Schumacher lost an extra 6